And welcome to the show. It's the Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com. It's Friday already. Can you believe it? Even Carol was confused this morning. She said, "What day is it?" I said, "It's Friday." And it doesn't feel like Friday because it's been a 4-day work week for most people. Monday being a holiday, so it's got us all a little disjointed, a little screwed up. But it doesn't take a holiday to get me screwed up. It doesn't take that at all. Good morning, Carol. How are you?
Good morning. I didn't know it was Friday.
Yeah, I know you when you came in to the office today. You said, "What day is it?"
Yeah, and I didn't do no throwbacks yesterday on Instagram.
Yeah.
I used to put all my old stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't do any throwbacks either. We were all thrown back.
So did you know they found that little Japanese kid I was talking about the other day?
Yeah.
They found him in a shed, but the soldier was blown away how healthy he was.
Yeah.
Because, there was no food in there.
Nope.
But he said the hill he had to climb up was very steep to get to where he got, and he lived on water.
Kids are very resilient, and they can do things that, people a little older can't, and it's a blessing. Yeah, but to give you a little background on this story, the parents of this, 7-year-old, right? Left him on the side of the road.
Remember I told that?
Yeah.
I was telling people that the other day about that little boy.
Yeah, left him on the side of the road. And
because he was throwing rocks at cars.
At cars, yeah, that's a form of punishment, but I don't think.
But not in bear country.
No, that wasn't good. And the father came out and apologized and said that he thought he was doing the right thing and blah 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 blah, but he realized it didn't make sense for him to go to that extreme. So it's good that he realized that what they did wasn't a good idea.
Well, actually, when he first was missing, they didn't tell the police that they had dropped him. But then he came back and told them the truth, why they had did this. But
right.
I did that to my son once, but not in no forest.
No? No,
I told him to get out of my car. He was sitting there having tantrums, so I pulled over the side and I said, "Get out."
Get out.
He started, "You're not putting," I go, "Get out of my car."
Did you actually put him out? Yeah?
Yeah, I think he got out, but I came right back around and got him.
Yeah.
But they basically did the same thing, but the boy had already taken off, yes.
So he found a shed, and he was living in the shed for about a week. And in the shed, there was 2 mattresses. And that's what he slept on, put one mattress on top of the other for, I guess, keep him warm. And there was water up there. So the blessing, we can't live without water. You can go for a period of time without food, nourishment, but can't do it without water. So that was a blessing that he did find water there at this shed.
Well, it's obvious he was pretty smart.
Yeah.
But then there's another incident that happened. A little 4-year-old girl got up, and I think it was back east, left her house at 3 a.m. in the morning, walked blocks, got on the bus, and the bus driver looked like, what the heck? Because there was
Where are your parents?
And they have a video because they keep videos on buses, and it shows the little girl getting on the bus. And then he asked her, he probably asked her, I didn't pay attention to the whole thing, but when he got to the part, "Why are you alone?" She wanted a slushie.
Wow.
So she had left her house at 3 a.m. in the morning, got on a bus, and was going to get a slushie.
Boy, that's a real fix for a slushie. You got to love a slushie at, 3 years old, you said?
4.
4. How does a 4-year-old get out of the house without the parents knowing?
Well, how do these kids in Syria and Brazil survive on their own in Africa?
Well, I mean, yeah, I understand that, but I don't know that if I had a 4-year-old, they would be able to get out of the house at 3 o'clock in the morning on their own.
Kids are pretty smart nowadays.
That's amazing.
I mean, look at the little boy that was reading.
Yeah.
But I could see how easy that would be to teach a child that's just learning to talk, to read, by showing flashcards. Because if you showed them a toy, they would say what the toy is. So
true.
It proves that if you did flashcards, I think any kid could actually read and tell you what that says.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all you learn through repetition. And the more you repeat those words and those pictures, you learn through association like that. And that's very, very smart. And used a lot throughout various educational systems and what have you. So that's a smart kid, though. He was
Well,
doing well.
even animals are smart. There's a dog. I think it was a golden retriever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was back east too, where he gets on the bus by himself.
Really?
Yeah, this bus driver said he gets on. They let him on. He sits down. And I thought that because it proves to you anybody has a brain at certain ages. Because,
Right.
like I said, if kids can survive in other countries, because if you go to Brazil, I don't know if you've been there,
No, I haven't.
you have to watch these group of kids because they're orphans and they live off the streets, so they have to survive. And we're talking little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing in Africa, because did you see that where the little African boy, they threw him out because they said he was possessed or something?
No.
Yeah, and he was just a baby, like 2 years old, and he's
Oh.
walking in this. People that come over to the country to help people out, seen him,
Mm-hmm.
and they said this happens all the time, where they'll throw a kid out if they think he's possessed, and it was so sad to see the little boy because they showed you the boy, and then they showed you how he looks now.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of these orphans at this place. I have to research and see exactly what it was called, where they help people over there. I
Right.
don't think it was the Red Cross or whatever,
Yeah.
but it was some missionary group. And
And they threw him
take
out because they thought he was
the,
possessed.
the mother and father did, yes. And people let him starve, but he was this little tiny, he was a baby. So it proves that if you have to survive, I think even kids can survive because they're
Sure.
proving it in other countries.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about all those kids in these other countries where their parents are being killed, and that which kind of bothers me when everybody complains about, and which I'm sad too about the gorilla. But hey, what about these kids from Syria when you see their bodies laid out and there
Yeah.
may be 30 of them? How come nobody's showing any care for that?
Well, I don't know. It's sad, and I learned
It's beyond sad.
it is. It's pretty pathetic. We as humans, the way we react to various things, but it really came to light to me. And I mentioned it before when I was working for a prosecutor, and when someone did some heinous act towards animals, and I was the press secretary for this prosecutor. I'm telling you, the phones, the emails were crazy, unbelievable amounts of correspondence from the public. But you could kill a 2-year-old and you got a little reaction, but not nearly that of when you did some heinous act towards an animal. So I'm not sure why we as humans don't value human life to the same degree.
I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I really
get
don't.
it.
It's like we hear about the Holocaust all the time. What about the genocide in Africa? And what about what's going on in the Middle East? To me,
Yeah.
that's a genocide. I mean,
It is.
when people are trying everything to get out of it and everybody sits back. I don't understand that because, I mean, even the Holocaust, people turned ships of them away,
Yeah.
which nobody ever talks about, but
Nope.
the same thing happened to them. But I don't understand what has happened, what is happening that it continues that we ignore this. Because when it happened in Africa, I actually had a friend that I got to know her because we worked together, and her whole family basically got slaughtered. And she said she went to embassies and nobody would help, begging to help stop this genocide in Africa because they were strictly out to slaughter the children.
Mm-hmm.
She was telling me because they didn't want, I guess, Tutsis to exist any longer.
Right.
And
Well, you kill off the young, and the old
yeah,
will eventually
she
die
told
off.
me it was horrible how many children they killed. And everybody ignored that. They went to every embassy to try to get help. And we're guilty of it too. I don't care. We can sit back and act like we're not, but we are. And just like Syria, when you start seeing all this recently, I would see comments from Americans, which makes me feel ashamed at times, saying, why are we helping these people when we aren't helping our own? Our own people aren't running from getting beheaded or whatever they do. Sure, we have people living in the streets, but they're not living like these people trying to escape a country to
Well,
survive and
yeah,
have
that-
boats tip over, and they sit and that bothers me. It really does, because I don't know what's wrong with people anymore.
Well, it is. It's a horrible, horrible thing that's going on all over the world. I talked about the homeless here in L.A. and here in America yesterday, and that's. See, here's a problem I have. We are so quick to criticize other countries and what they're doing right and wrong, or more or less wrong, but we don't pay the attention that we need to what's going on here in America. And I'm a red-blooded American. I don't know anything else but America. Don't want to be anywhere else but America. I was born here. My parents were born here. My grandparents were born here. Maybe beyond that, there might have been a couple that came over on a boat or two. But the reality is I'm a red-blooded American, and that's my concern first. Not that I don't care about what's going on in Syria and Africa and all those places. I do.
Well, are they being beheaded
It breaks
out
my
here?
heart. No, but no, yeah, there's some beheading that we maybe don't know about. But be that as it may, I'm not minimizing or saying don't worry about that. But at the same time, I don't want us to, as Americans, to criticize what other people are doing when we're doing some crazy stuff at home. All I'm suggesting is we need to clean up our own act. Not that we should not be concerned or involved in others, but let's pay more attention to what we're doing, or more importantly, not doing. There's no reason for 5,000 people to be living on the streets here in Los Angeles. There's no reason for, I don't know how many there are in New York, but I remember when I lived in New York on 2 different occasions, I used to see men and women laying on top of those vents that come from under the trains because there's steam and warm air that comes up from out of there. That's the only place they could stay. And this is America. And people come here because this is the land of the free and the brave and all the opportunities, but we got homeless people.
Well, we used
can
to
do
have
better.
just what you call winos. I mean, that's what they call them where I'm from. But
Yeah.
but
But not all
I
homeless
think
people
it's
are
really
winos.
sad what's going on here. But why would we send all these? Why do they want us to send billions of dollars to Israel,
Well,
our country? I mean, if we're going to send it, why aren't we helping
because,
these people out? I mean, our own people. I totally agree.
yeah.
We need to have, but I just watch the rich get richer and they're greedy. You see them. I look at them on Facebook, a lot of people I know, and they're always in another country but it's like, why don't you take some of that money and help some of these people out?
Right.
I mean, who built your businesses? I mean, people don't realize, who shops in Walmart? Is it the woman that lives in Beverly Hills? Or is it your middle class and your poor people?
Yeah, well,
And I think we can
predominantly-
answer that.
Yeah.
But the people that own these companies, they don't help anybody. And it's like, this is why they try to get you to support small businesses that are going out of business and
Right.
restaurants. I mean, watch what happens once we legalize marijuana. Watch and see. I could put money that they're going to turn around. And you're going to see somebody like a Starbucks type person come forward. He's going to open franchises because
course.
they're closing the small man down already. I watched a friend of mine get shut down, and he was legally there. But all of a sudden, you have Snoop Dogg buying a place. You have Whoopi Goldberg buying one. But the smaller person, they're shutting them all down. So you can see what they're preparing for.
Yeah. No,
So-
there's no question.
So it leaves you wondering.
Do you think that it's going to pass here in
It
California?
needs to pass. It'll get us out of our
Financial-
economic problems we have,
Yeah.
because look at Colorado. But you have to watch it because a lot of those edibles out there, people are losing it. Some of them are very powerful and they don't tell people this. And they got weed products they shouldn't be selling, like this weed wax, I think it is, and this other thing, it's like a synthetic weed that's killing people. So I think they got to really do something like they would do medicine. Everything has to be
Regulated.
FDA approved.
Yeah.
You can't just let people put it in there.
Well, I agree with you 100% on that. And I believe it's on the ballot here in California in November for recreational marijuana to be legal. I predict that it will be legal in most, if not all, 50 states over the next 3 to 5 years. At that point, the federal government will be forced, more or less, to make it nationally acceptable. See, if you look at the
You mean force each state even if they don't want it?
well, no, I'm saying if all 50 states pass it and it's sold in those states as recreational or for medical purposes, then why wouldn't the federal government say at that point, okay, it's federally accepted because all the states have accepted it? How could the federal government say you can't go across state lines with it? You buy it in Colorado, you can't go somewhere else with it. You know what I mean? Because every state will already be there. But more importantly, the taxes from it is going to benefit all of these states. And the federal tax, it's going to be a federal tax on it, right? When that goes live nationwide. So if you're paying, I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say 10% on every bag of marijuana or whatever you're buying is going towards a state tax. Then they're going to put another 10% or 15% on the federal. So that's federal money that the government is going to be receiving, which again will help the federal government's budget. And just through this one thing, selling marijuana and marijuana products will benefit the economy greatly. Now, whenever there's a good, there may be some ripple effect bad from that. What could that be? Would it be that will crime go up or go down? Will reckless driving go up or go down? Will it take will there be another benefit of the drug dealers on the streets? Will that run them out of business or not?
Well,
What do you think?
anything sold on the streets, I mean, I don't think it's going to run them out because basically it is legal here. Anybody can go in and get a medical weed card.
Well, yeah, medical, but I think what we're about to vote on is recreational.
Yeah,
where
but
it's
it
not-
is recreational. Do all these kids really have
Of
a
course,
medical
no.
illness?
But-
Come on.
But if they don't have
But
proof of it,
they
yeah.
all have it. These kids, they
Yeah.
sit right on Venice Boardwalk and they stand outside and they tell you they have a doctor on staff. So there it is right there. But I think I did see something where I don't know if the law has already been made where they have something where they can test to see if you're weed driving, where it's over the limit. But I've never seen weed kill people, not like alcohol.
Right.
And they legalized alcohol with no problem. Look at how many people die a year from a drunk driver.
True.
Weed, I think a lot of it might be a little potent. And
Right.
people have to be careful, but
Well, typically
it's-
when you get high from weed, you're not going to want to do too much. You just want to chill, take a nap, eat some brownies.
no, it
Some
depends
potato
on the
chips,
kind of
some
weed you're
Doritos.
smoking. There's weed
Well-
you smoke that you want to go out and dance.
Oh, I don't know about all that. Back in the day when I smoked a little bud, all I wanted to do was eat some Doritos and some brownies.
Oh,
and
not me. I
stuff
like to
that.
go out
Get the
dancing.
munchies. Dry mouth. I didn't want to dance. I just wanted to sit. You know what we used to do? This is funny. We used to get a buzz on, 4 or 5 of my buddies, maybe a couple of girls. We'll sit around all on the floor, on the sofa, or whatever. Turn the TV on with the volume down and put on some Jimi Hendrix or, something like that. And we'd sit there and watch a TV show that had nothing to do with the music that we were playing. But nobody was getting, mad, upset, or doing anything stupid. We were just sitting around kind of grooving. Now, if the weed that is being sold today makes you crazy, I don't want any.
No, it's a synthetic weed.
Yeah, I don't want
It's
it.
killing
I don't
people.
want nothing that's
I don't
man-made.
know if it's in the United States yet, but there are man-made ones out here, and there's that thing called wax, what they're telling people stay away from.
Yeah.
I think they use something to melt it or that. It's just, but then I know when I was younger, everybody did acid, or they did mescaline.
Yeah, that's some.
And
That's
I
some
mean,
crazy stuff,
maybe
yeah.
a lot of people, I would say a small majority didn't, but
Yeah, when I was a teenager, 18, 19, 20, maybe into my 21, I used to smoke a little bud.
oh,
But
I used to be terrible. I smoked a whole ounce in a week.
you were
I'm not gonna, no, I'm not gonna deny it. I sure did. It was a lot cheaper, and I went to work on it. And when I did makeup, I was very, very creative.
creative. Yeah, it looked good to you,
You
huh?
wouldn't know, the photographer would roll up the joint and you would smoke it, and you'd really get into it because it does bring out your artistic abilities.
Did you feel the same way after you were not high when you looked at some of the work? Did you say, "Oh yeah, that was
No, I
real
did great work.
Yeah?
We did
Okay.
great work.
Because I
mean,
used to look back at some of the things that I did after I was not high, and I went, "What the hell was I thinking? what was really going
well, you
on?"
somebody might have been slipping you some acid.
No, it was no
'Cause,
acid. didn't
well,
do
I
any of
did that too before. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I was some little princess.
Well, let me ask you: do you think
I used to like acid.
yeah?
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. I would sit there and somebody could put a pineapple. I might stare at it for 12 hours. Like, wow, look at that pineapple. Oh, look at the curves on it. And I mean, you would sit with your friends
Carol,
and say, but it's the truth. A
Do you
lot of
think-
people will deny. They'll say, oh, I never did nothing. Well, I guess you were a nun or something, because
wait a minute. Let me
most
ask you a
of us
question.
did.
Hold on, you're killing me. Now, do you think that all of the recreational stuff that you did has it had a ripple effect from it?
No effect
negatively?
on me. I'm
No?
totally normal.
Yep.
I think
You're the
I'm
same
I'm,
today as you were 30
I
years
sure
ago.
am. I'm the
Really?
same person. Anybody that knew me before will tell you I'm the same person. People say that all the time to me.
Okay.
They go, you don't change.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I mean, I don't do all that now. I haven't did it in years, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I don't sit down once in a while with somebody I enjoy, like a friend you can have fun with. I don't want to sit down with some sourpuss.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, I took a selfie about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't smoked weed probably in a year, and when I do, it only takes one hit. I'm gone.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol. I never have. But I don't know why, but it hit me hard, I guess, because I don't smoke. And I took a video, a selfie.
Really?
And I had it on my page, and I didn't never post it, but I had it in my
Your
pictures.
private. Yeah.
But the more I looked at that, I said, oh, wow. I can't believe how ignorant I was.
That's funny.
I actually had a ball, to be honest, that day.
Wow.
I didn't go anywhere. We were sitting on the couch.
Wow.
And I think that's when it could be more fun for me.
Uh-huh.
Because I have friends that still smoke every day. I can hear them when I'm on the phone. I'll hear them separating the seeds still, because they'll buy large amounts, I guess.
Really?
And I go, oh, you're rolling a joint? And they go, how did you know that? I go, I can hear you. How can you hear me? I go, I hear your little card separating the seeds.
Chop, 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 chop.
Or I'll hear them when they inhale. They go, I can't believe you can hear me. I said, I can hear you. Is that what you
know
were
that
doing?
sound. Yeah.
I do know that sound, but I really don't. When people think I do it now and I'm high when I'm telling my stories, I'm not. I don't do it. Once in a while, like I said, it's fun. It's like a person that don't drink. Every once in a while,
Right.
they're going to have a drink. Like every once in a while, I take a couple sips of a beer.
So let me ask you, when you would get high back in the day, what would be some of the favorite things that you would do? I mean, did you just kind of,
You want me to be real honest?
well, maybe not to the point where you might get locked up, but
Number one, I love to bake, so
Okay.
everybody liked me for that.
oh yeah, I would come over and hang out with you if you were baking.
And cook, but sex was
Yeah.
great because it made you more relaxed.
Interesting.
And I love going on long drives.
Long drives while high.
I get my car and drive. I only had a problem once. I don't know what it was, but I thought the cops were chasing me, and I jumped out of my car.
Were the cops behind you?
No,
No. And
And
was that from weed or acid?
it was weed. Oh,
Just weed.
I would never drive on acid.
Wow.
There's no way in this world. That would be crazy to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to think people who were walking behind me, I'd hear my own feet, and
Paranoid.
I'd start running.
Yeah. Yep.
And here are your feet behind you. Come, 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 come. You can't wait to get in the house. I have great stories, believe me.
I had a buddy he would get high and get real paranoid. We'd be over at his place, and he would sit by the window, and he had some curtains. He was always peeping out the curtains. What are you looking at, man? And see if the cops out there, man. I said, well, why do you think they would be out there? Because we're in here getting high, man. You got to watch out. I said, okay, well, you keep watching. Hey, why are you over there watching? Why don't you pass that thing over here? That was funny. But he was super paranoid, you know? He's so afraid of getting busted.
You know, it's funny you say that because recently I was with the limo driver.
How did we get on this conversation?
I don't know, but it's more interesting talking about Trump for 2 hours. But this driver told me that he had smoked something.
Yeah?
And he said, I called the cops. I said, why would you call the cops? He said, because I thought I was ODing on weed.
Oh, God.
I said, well, what did the cops do? He said, they didn't do nothing because he was at his own house. He said, and you're allowed a certain amount. I go, but you called the cops?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some great stories, which I'm sure anybody listening, probably especially some of Lee's friends.
Why do you think my friends?
Because they seem like fun people.
Oh,
At least
okay.
they probably had fun. And I know my friends
I bet
have
you're
had
trying to say
fun.
all my friends are weed heads.
Most people smoked weed before, and the
Yeah.
ones that didn't, hey, more power to them. But sometimes it was just fun, and I know kids that do it now, and it's fine. But like I tell the kids, you got to be careful because people do put stuff in it now, so you don't want to be out driving if you don't know what you've smoked.
Right. Well, if you're listening to us right now and you have some old flashback, I know this is not Throwback Thursday, but we'll call it Throwback Friday. We're sitting here talking about back in the day when weed was weed. It wasn't, you know, a lot of the synthetic stuff until they came out with, what was the thing they used to lace it with?
Arsenic?
Yeah.
Was that what
The
was
embalming fluid. And what was that?
that? Probably acid.
Acid? Oh, I don't know. But I remember there was a time, I want to say it was in the early 70s when they came out with this laced marijuana, and everybody was smoking that for a while. And I didn't touch any of that. By the 70s, I was done.
Was it, remember there was something called mescaline?
Mescaline, yeah.
I tried that once.
Did you really?
Yeah, I wrecked somebody's car.
See, Carol?
I woke up, I was in jail when I came to. I can remember them lifting my head and people screaming, she's dead. And the cop looked, he says, she isn't dead. And in
You could
my
hear them
mind, I
talking
was
about
just on a great trip. So when I was in jail, I didn't think I was in jail. I was like, wow.
You were just tripping.
I'll tell you what, when I came down, I had cracked ribs. I still have a
Really?
scar, I think, on my forehead.
Wow,
But-
you were a mess.
No, I look back at those days, and that's why sometimes I don't hate on young kids so much because I think about the things I
things,
did
yeah.
and say, "Phew,
Well,
I'm
back,
glad they're not as bad as I was," but they probably are.
you think you were worse than the kids today?
Oh, I did a lot of things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was bad. Bad in a fun way. I didn't hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
I was just bad.
Just you did more damage to yourself. You think maybe?
I don't think I damaged myself. I had fun. And it's fun to look back and think about it. And that's how I don't think kids need to get high to have fun, but I had fun. And
Wait,
when parents get mad at a kid because they go, oh, I think he's smoking weed or I go, so what? You'd rather let him do it in your house than be out
Out in
somewhere.
the streets, yeah. Well, let me ask you this: assuming that in November we're going to vote here in California for recreational marijuana usage, if that passes, that means that I don't know what the limits are, that you can go out and buy it and you can be in public, I guess. I'm not sure what the parameters are, but let's say that it's okay for you to, be standing on the corner in your backyard or, whatever and smoke a joint, right?
Not in Culver City.
Well, if it's state approved, then
I'm just being
yeah.
funny.
Okay. So let me ask you this: if it comes to fruition, would you smoke a joint while we're doing a show?
You mean like Snoop Dogg does?
Well, maybe not to that degree. because
I don't
that
know
guy's
because I
nuts.
told you I don't do it that often.
Right.
But when I do, I enjoy it. I don't have a problem smoking a joint if I felt like it, but
Right.
I very seldom do it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't believe that when I tell them that, but that is the truth. I very seldom do it. A joint could last me a year.
A year?
Actually, I found one yesterday when I was cleaning out my drawers.
How long do you think you've had it? You don't know?
I don't know. But I looked and it was really funny. I go, should
I bet it
take
was
a
kind of
hit?
dry. And
It's probably really good. But
That's
I
probably why you
I
still
can
have it.
honestly say, Lee, I very seldom do it. But I'm not going to say I'm somebody I don't, because
Oh, my
people that
goodness.
say things like, I would never. Well, you sit there and you drink. I watched you drink 10 beers.
Yeah, right.
What's the difference in somebody sitting there and
Smoking
a
the
joint?
joint.
I don't really understand you people when you say this, or you're a person that pops pills every day. Oh, well,
Yeah,
it's
really.
a pain pill. No, you don't have pain every day. It's a pain pill because you like the way it makes you
You
feel.
get that buzz. Yeah.
So you're going to sit here and knock somebody that's smoking a joint. How many times do you see an accident where they say weed driving?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Not that it can happen, but it doesn't. I don't think it can take control unless I think there's newer stuff out there now.
Yeah, well, that you see, I would look at that as not putting that in a regular normal weed smoking.
No,
mode,
I honestly
you know?
think they're going to give tickets for it. I think if they haven't, there was something they
Mm-hmm.
were saying not long ago that if you were high and driving, where they can measure the amount.
Well, I think they should, because anything that you do, and you do it too much, then why not? You know what I'm saying? Why do you want to go to the extreme?
Yeah, well,
Enough, you
You've
know?
never been in a car and they're passing the joint, or at a movie theater.
Well, yeah,
Or a
I remember
concert.
those days. Sure, absolutely.
Because I know when I went to the Greek, you just breathe real deep. You don't have to smoke. You just,
Contact high.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I got one about a year ago. Maybe no, not quite a year ago. And I was outside, and there were some people smoking, and I think I got a little buzz from it.
And I'll bet you were a lot of fun.
No,
Oh.
I went to sleep. See that maybe it reacts differently with different people, but it makes me real mellow. I mean, just I don't want to do
Well,
anything.
I think it makes anybody
just
mellow,
calm me
but
down.
different types. There's kind that are just, I guess you would say, I'm sounding like a damn drug addict now. But I
think-
really
I think
don't smoke. I'm
when it be-
telling you the truth.
When it becomes legal, we have to have Carol sit here on camera.
No, I wouldn't do that. It would be promoting it.
Well, but it's
My
legal.
only
It would
thing
be
is,
legal.
if it becomes
You know?
legal here,
Yeah.
I don't want to see just the rich people with all of it.
Well, you
let
can't stop
other
that.
people do it.
Yeah.
No, they've already stopped it. I'm telling you, my friend
That's what I'm
had
saying.
a place.
You're not
and-
going to stop the rich people from getting involved in it
No,
because
but they
it's
take
a
over,
lot of money to be
and
made.
it's not right. It's like, why are you closing all the small people down already?
Well, it's just the same
they
thing
really
as
are.
Walmart and all the big grocery stores.
I've only been in
But-
Walmart once.
Yeah.
I go to a grocery store, I told you, way out past Eagle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I buy most of my vegetables. I don't eat red meat, so I don't buy no meat, but I get lobster there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy salmon steaks for my friends. I don't buy them for me because I don't know how to cook them. So I already support independent places.
Well, that's good. And I think we should do more of that. But I just don't see how it's avoidable when anything is popular and makes a lot of money. The big boys are going to get in the game, and I don't know how you stop them unless you regulate it to
No, unless
say,
you grow your own and you make sure you have the best out there.
well, okay, but yeah, I guess that would definitely attract people to your business versus theirs, but that's with anything. But I think maybe they're going to have to regulate it based on what you're saying. Maybe a certain percentage of the total number of stores allowed has to be,
Like
available
liquor
to
stores
Yeah,
and bars,
yeah,
because they are regulated.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that, but they are.
yeah. But I don't think it's regulated to the degree that, if Carol, who is an average person, has an advantage or disadvantage. I think it's still based on how much money you got.
And if it's illegal, why would anybody be called a drug dealer? Because legally, if it's legal, why shouldn't you be able to sell it?
Well, you have to go through the proper permits and, the process, and then you're legal. So if you...
so it's kind of like liquor with moonshine, right?
Well, yeah. So when Jabbo and them out there in the streets are selling it, if they want to go legit, the money that they're making now, they need to put it aside and try to figure out how to
well, I kind
make
of think,
that money
though,
legal.
probably if you had a felony or something before, you would not be able to open up a place.
Yeah, same thing with buying a gun. You can't buy a gun if you're a felon.
It's just
legally.
It will make a lot of money for the state. Look what Colorado's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're making a fortune. I doubt if Texas will ever legalize it.
I don't know about that. Why do you think Texas would?
Well, a lot of people I know that have went through there, if they catch it on you, you're in trouble.
Well, they're enforcing
not
the
all
current
of
law.
Texas, parts of Texas, because I know borders along there are some of the biggest cartel people.
Right.
Because I know a young kid, I can't remember where he said he lived, but he moved. He said it was strictly controlled by Mexico, parts of Texas he was in.
Right.
He lived somewhere. He gave me the name, but he got out of there.
That's crazy.
That cartel is pretty heavy duty.
Oh, yeah, that's serious.
And I'm sure part of the wealthy here makes money off of that cartel.
Believe it.
I mean, when you
don't
see
think it's it's a fact.
A person arrested
Sure.
because he was selling coke, now where did he get that coke to sell?
Exactly.
He didn't get it from the ghetto now.
Nope. Not at all.
But they always leave that out of the facts.
Well, because it's big business, like you said, there are all kinds of people involved in illegal transactions because it makes a lot of money.
But do you agree with me when I said when people sit there and they drink and drink and they trip on somebody that's smoking?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of hypocritical.
I feel it's very hypocritical. Critical.
See, the difference is, and this is the only difference, is drinking is legal, smoking and doing other types of drugs is not. So that's the only difference. And that's why there are drug dealers on the streets, just like back in the day when there was a prohibition against selling alcohol. Well, it didn't stop them from making it, and people were still drinking and getting drunk because it was done in the black market. So when it's totally legal to smoke weed recreationally in the United States,
You won't
and all
have to
50
buy
states,
it off the streets.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens. Will that put the illegal drug dealers out of business, and will some of them transition into legal?
No, I kind of
business?
think most of them already don't sell weed. They sell cocaine and stuff like that,
Well, somebody's
probably, and
selling it.
crack.
Yeah.
Well, here, like I said, I could go today, and you could go with me, and we could go to a place, and they have doctors on staff that will give you your medical card. So
Do you have one?
no, because I
Oh.
don't smoke that often. So
Okay.
why I don't need one.
I'm just checking.
But now, have you ever been to Amsterdam?
No, I haven't, but I have a lot of friends.
Did they tell you how fun it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm curious, will we do like them? Because you can literally go into a restaurant and you can get it on the menu and even in the bars.
Wow.
So that used to be fun
Mm-hmm.
when you went to Amsterdam.
And they could smoke it right there in the bar
Oh,
or
they had
restaurant?
hash, everything.
Really?
But you're not going to leave the country with it now.
No. That makes sense.
That's for years it's been like that. Why do you think people like Amsterdam?
Yeah. I got a buddy, Mickey Oliver, that goes over there. He's a DJ. Maybe that's why Mickey goes over there.
No, it's just a lot of fun. Amsterdam's fun.
Yeah. I hear that all the time, that it's a fun place to be in. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break and come back on the other side, and we're going to talk a little bit about the email scandal and how Donald Trump is saying Hillary Clinton needs to go to jail. And we'll talk about how ignorant that is. The president cannot decide who goes to jail. That is decided by the Justice Department. Go ahead.
Can I say something before?
Sure.
Somebody just texted me that was listening. They said it was called angel dust.
Angel dust. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Yep. Yeah, I didn't do the angel dust.
I don't
Did
know
you?
if I
I bet you did.
I liked weed.
There was a song.
I liked acid. I told you. Everybody did it back then.
Yeah, Gil Scott-Heron had a
I
song
was a
called
hippie.
Angel Dust.
You could paint me naked and I would walk down the street. That's how bad. And I mean,
Stop.
No, that's the truth. Because I lived in Hollywood. And Hollywood was different. I mean, you would go down the street and there would be people in windows dancing. It was very open back then. Think about if you didn't live out here.
I remember.
The only thing I hated was you didn't have to walk your kids to school, but after a while you did because perverts were lined up on the streets. And many times my kids had to run from that because they're sitting in their cars, doing things they shouldn't be doing. Think about it. Hollywood was wild.
You know what, Carol? I will never ask you to go on camera again because somebody might recognize you from back in the day.
No, I don't look like
While
that.
you're feeding your body, feed your mind with thepowerofvoices.com.
I'm Nancy Renee.
And I'm Adrienne Shapiro.
We're the founders of Access Advocacy, a nonprofit for the benefit of people with sickle cell disease.
We provide education and support for families, caregivers, and the medical community.
Join us every Tuesday at noon Pacific Time on thepowerofvoices.com.
We'll talk about current issues, what's on the horizon for treatment, and how to help families living with chronic diseases. And we look forward to you joining us on Tuesdays at noon Pacific on thepowerofvoices.com.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave. But remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the new world of talk radio, thepowerofvoices.com.
Okay. I'm still trying to get over the image of Carol being painted nude and walking down the street or dancing in a window in Hollywood. That's pretty intense, Carol.
Well, I was a hippie. I was like a hippie type person.
I was a hippie too, but
I didn't do none of that communal stuff, though.
Yeah.
When they all sit around and have sex. I didn't do that. No.
Oh, you weren't a real hippie then.
I wasn't a real hippie because I wasn't going to live in a commune with 100 other people.
You were part-time hippie.
Part-time.
Yeah, I guess I was part-time also, but
those days are fun, and that's where us as parents, we forget when our kids do things. They're just doing the same things we probably did at their age. They're having fun.
Yeah, different level, different kind of fun, but it's all the same. Okay, we're going to talk about the Republicans and the Hillary Clinton email scandal and Donald Trump out on the campaign trail saying Hillary needs to go to jail, and when he becomes president, he's going to see that happens. Well, okay, you might want that to happen, and it sounds good out on the campaign trail and all of that. It makes you sound like a tough guy, Mr. Trump. But maybe one of your advisors might want to advise you to the fact that the Justice Department, that's not your lane. The president can't go around locking up people. The Justice Department does that. They would have to do an investigation, and then pending the results of that, would determine whether or not she goes to jail. But if you want to go down that road, Mr. Trump, the thumpster, then you might want to look back at Bush and Cheney. In 2007, okay, when Congress was asked, when they asked the Bush administration to have access to emails, the Attorney General, Alberto Gonzales, said that those emails were not available because over 20 million emails were deleted from a server that was hosted and owned by the Republican National Committee. So it was not a government server. It wasn't housed in a government building. It was hosted and managed by the Republicans. And the domain name was GWB43, George W. Bush 43.com. 20 million emails were deleted. Mr. Trump, are you going to lock up Bush and Cheney for doing that? Since you want to, lock folks up, are you going to look into that? Nobody was talking about locking them up for doing that, and 20 million emails evaporated. I'm just saying, I'm just asking questions. If you're going to be, this tough guy, are you going to do it because Hillary is a Democrat? And as far as I know, there were no 20 million emails deleted. Why were those emails deleted, Mr. Trump? What do you think about that? 424-227-9461 is our number. If you want to join in on that conversation. And maybe there's a good reason that they were not prosecuted. But that is, to me, something that should have been investigated. 20 million emails on a server that was not owned by the United States government, but in fact, managed by the Republican National Committee. So how is that legal? How is it so? And what is the difference between that and what Hillary did? She had a server in her home, and certain emails went to it, and certain emails went to other servers. So my question is it deemed okay, legal, acceptable, whatever, by the government, national security, whatever department needs to oversee this decision of whether or not a candidate of any kind, if you hold a public office, if you're a senator or House of Representative, the House rep, is it okay? And if it's okay, why is this an issue? Why are we talking about it? If it's not okay, then it should be banned, and we should have tougher regulations and enforce the law. If there are laws on the book that says this is not cool, then it shouldn't happen.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is he going to arrest himself for the fraud he did with universities? I mean, did you hear what the universities told recruiters? Look for single mothers and hungry kids.
Wow.
And I'm just curious, is he going to go to jail for what he did? That was fraud.
Well,
when he talks about he wants to put Hillary in jail.
Of course not. He's going to not investigate himself. He's going to keep on doing what he's doing, not paying taxes.
And to be honest, nobody's going to allow him to put her in jail if he was the president.
Yeah, he's overstepping, and he doesn't understand the process. And anybody that doesn't understand the different levels of government and who's in charge of what, he shouldn't be anywhere near Washington, D.C., not even as a tourist, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't understand that, anybody with a high school education knows the difference between the different branches and who's in charge of what. The president can appoint an attorney general, but it's just like appointing the head of the Federal Reserve. Once they are appointed, they have a duty and a responsibility to be prudent and do the necessary investigation. The FBI, CIA, the Boy Scouts of America, and every other investigation body then goes in to do their job. But because you want to lock somebody up, Mr. Trump, does not mean you have the authority to do such.
I think his TV show went to his head.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think
he's drunk on Trump.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes it's not a reality show.
Didn't he have a liquor, a wine, a champagne or something? He has a winery. I know that. Didn't he have a vodka or something
You
that
know, I've
crashed?
never really paid attention to him. He's never been somebody I really wanted to pay attention
Yeah, let me
to.
look that up real quick because I think he did have an alcohol other than a winery, and it crashed and burned.
Yeah, but I'm curious, how many businesses have went bankrupt?
I think he's had 4 bankruptcies.
And where did his money originally come from? Because he doesn't seem to want to tell people that he and Daddy gave it to him.
Yeah, I think his dad had a little bucks.
He had a lot of bucks.
Yeah. I'm looking this up here. Trump bankruptcies. Well, we'll see what comes out of this search here. But I'll tell you, I see. I'm for what's right, and I think that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and everybody should be playing by the same rules. We are first all Americans. We have 2 political parties that run stuff in addition to the real bosses. I'm just saying. But we should all be playing by the same rules. And when politics gets in the way of being fair, transparent, honest, and open to the betterment of all people, then it's not right. I don't think that any American should be treated any differently. We should all have the same fair opportunities, no matter what your last name is or who your grandfather was. No one should be discriminated against good education, jobs, health care, anything that is humanly right. Now, if you're a better basketball player than me, okay. You should be compensated accordingly. But your child or my child or grandchildren should have the same opportunities as anyone else. If they work hard in school, do what is expected, they have good grades, they shouldn't be discriminated for anything. Now, if you're some bust out, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you don't show up to class, no, you don't deserve. So that's where the individual thing comes into play. If you give your best, then you should have a fair opportunity to do whatever it is, to pursue whatever it is you want to pursue. That's the American way. At least that's what I understand. Now, if they have changed that in some respect, let me know. So when I hear people like Donald Trump out on the stump, trying to become the president of the United States, and they do these inflammatory, crazy, out your butt kind of comments, and then there are people who don't understand the process, how things really work, they are influenced by that. It's just called, it's a level of ignorance. When you don't know, you just don't know. Not putting anybody down, but when you don't know, you don't know. So what he's saying might sound good at that moment, but it's not realistic. Like Carol said, he's acting like this is a reality show. And a reality show is not real.
He really does act like it is.
Yeah. And I'm going to give the majority of the Americans who are going to go vote in November on the 8th the benefit of the doubt of knowing that this guy is full of bovine and that you will go in there and vote well informed to understand that much of what this guy is saying is just hype. It's not reality. It's not going to happen. And the things that he's focusing in on are not things that mean a lot. He's negative. He hasn't shown us what he's really going to do. You can go to his website and you'll see there's holes in it everywhere. You go to Hillary's site, she's laid out her plan. You can clearly see what she's planning to do. Now, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and I think I shared it on my page. Let me see. Have you guys seen this picture of the potential First Lady, Melania Trump, laying on a bed, basically butt naked? I posted it on my page. I'm sorry, folks. I don't want this image as the First Lady of the United States. It's not ladylike. It just isn't. That's not what we are. That's not who we are. That's not the image that we need to portray.
Well, I think as a first lady, it's wrong, but she was a model, and I myself don't have a problem with nudity. It isn't like she's showing. I mean, as a first lady, it's bad.
Yeah, that's my point.
But as a model,
no, I'm not saying
I don't see. But
no.
I see what you're saying as a
Yeah.
first lady.
No.
I mean, they complained about Michelle's arms showing.
It's a big difference. Now, they were pissed off because she had some nice cut-up arms, muscular arms. And because most of those fat arm ladies that were complaining about it, they couldn't look that good. So I say to them, too bad, so sad. Take your fat ass to the gym. If you don't like somebody the way they look, you're envious of that, then go do something about it yourself. Usually those are the people that are critical of others. But I'm sorry. You know, and look, do what you want to do, but there's just certain things you can't do and represent America. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump, your wife is not going to be my first lady. She can't. Sorry. And you can't be my president. And that's just how I feel about it. Call me old school or whatever, but it is what it is. But I'm trying to find this post.
You never took no nude shots? I'm messing with them.
Not that I'm aware of, unless somebody did it while I was asleep. There might be some of those out there that I'm not aware of, but no, not intentionally.
Yeah, I don't see her as the first lady.
No, I hope not. I mean, look, I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but maybe I am. But that one is over the top for me. I'm David Linton. I guess it makes sense for me to not Google, but search on Facebook for him. But David put up something I thought was very good. And I wanted to bring that up. There it is. Let's see. Did you see, Carol, where the appointment of the guy who's going to be in charge of Carnegie Hall in New York happens to be an African American, the richest black person in America? He has a private equity firm. His name is Robert F. Smith. He's now the head of the Carnegie Hall Board, which is a famous concert hall in New York City.
Is he richer than Oprah?
Yeah, he's the richest black man in African American. Let's see, Robert F. Smith, the private-owned titan, who was named the richest African American by Forbes magazine.
Does that mean the money he's made this year?
No, he was named that last year, but he's a billionaire. And I don't know, is Oprah a billionaire?
Yes, she's a billionaire.
Still?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he's obviously.
Well, she has her own network still.
Well, yeah, but that costs a lot of money. You can deplete a lot of money starting up those kind of things.
Well, not really, because you get people to advertise on there, and you get producers, they get people to bring in money.
Sure, the first year or two, she was not meeting those budgets. I think she may have turned the corner by now, and I hope that it continues to grow for her.
Well, don't you think most businesses take up to 3 years to really get it moving?
Sure, sometimes 5 to 7 years. Every business plan that I've put together, I always project out 5 years of potentially losing. And by the 5th year, you hope to be at a break even, but most of the time, you turn the corner before then. In fact, as I remember, you remember when they first started USA Today, the newspaper?
Uh-huh.
They were projecting to lose hundreds of millions of dollars for the first 10 years. And they turned the corner a little sooner than that. But I bet it's not making that kind of money today because newspapers, magazines, all print media is suffering because people are on the internet. We live on the internet now for most, if not all, of our information. I know a lot of the younger generation, if they have cable, it's cable internet connection without the cable TV, without a landline phone attached to it, and they get all of their news and entertainment through the internet. I've met at least 10 or 15 people in the younger generation that said, no, I don't have TV. What do you mean you don't have TV? How can you not have TV? No, it's too expensive. I said, well, what do you use? Internet. Netflix. And all the other, TV hookups. But it's all internet driven now. So it's a new world, new generation, a new way of getting your information and entertainment.
Yeah, because I get most of my news before it even hits on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I get it off the internet. It comes in
Yeah.
faster.
TV can't turn around that fast because the way it operates technically, and a lot of the TV stations, especially the local ones, are not equipped to insert the information as quickly as we can on our cell phones. And when you've got 300 million people out in the streets with smartphones, there are 300 million reporters. I mean, I could turn my phone, or you can turn yours on, or your iPad, anywhere you are, and go live on Facebook or Meerkat or Periscope or any of the other streaming services, YouTube, and go live and start reporting. You don't need to be associated with ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, NBC, MSNBC, or CNN. You don't need them.
Well, usually the news, when they are not there right on time, there's always somebody there that's videotaping.
Exactly.
Something. And when they show up, that person sells them that videotape.
Sometimes.
Well,
do.
most of the time they're going to make money.
There was a brawl, a fight up in Chicago on the beach, North Beach, Avenue Beach. And it might have been several hundred, looked like mostly guys, young guys out there, and they were fighting. Well, it's all over the internet. The last time I saw it this morning, it was over 700,000 people that had viewed it. And I bet you that was streaming all over the internet and being shared before the TV stations even knew about it.
Well, that's how they catch a lot of people, like these two young girls that got on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And they were on the bus, and some older lady, she was 70-something years old, asked them could they move their foot so she could sit down.
Mm.
And they got to arguing with her. And we're talking 17-year-old girls. They followed her off of there. They didn't realize they were being videotaped.
Mm.
They beat this woman so bad she ended up in the hospital.
That's terrible.
And what I liked, when the mother seen it on, I think, Facebook, and they were showing it on TV, Facebook, she turned her daughter in.
Well, good. That's good. That was being responsible for some heinous act that you said granddaughter?
Her daughter.
Daughter.
It was a 78-year-old woman. They
Yeah.
jumped. It's like
That's horrible.
last night, if you've seen it, a guy was on the bus beating up on another 70-something-year. And the reason they got a video on it, because there's videos on the bus, he started beating the bus driver up. I think she even had to jump out of the bus and grab the keys at the same time.
That's horrible.
So it's they have tapes everywhere now. You
Yeah.
can be walking down the street and not realize
That's right.
you're being taped.
Most
so.
businesses have cameras in and outside of their stores,
Well, I think it helps.
and local police departments are now having surveillance cameras out. So
it helps.
the old saying is, "Hey, Big Brother's always watching." Well, it's true now.
Well, it's like the store that got robbed up, I think, in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
It showed him punching this old woman and knocking older woman. I shouldn't have said old because that's not a good word. Older woman and knocked her out. This guy's face is all in
Clear as a
the
bell.
clear.
Yep.
So
Did
they'll
they catch him yet?
I don't think I think they purposely didn't post his face right away because they already knew who they were going to look for.
Right. And with the technology they have now, they can take a video surveillance shot and scan that through all of the mug shots. If you're a previous criminal, that's your ass. They got you.
Well, it's like DNA.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It
really
is.
helped people
Visual
that
DNA.
have sat in prison, which I think is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And cops, and I know they still do this, they're going to shut a case, they'll find somebody to make it look like they did it. And I'm happy that a lot of them...
they don't do that. Come on.
Well, I don't know that for
I'm being
sure,
facetious.
but I think they do.
Yeah.
And these
of course.
people sit in prison for 25 years of their life. Yeah, a college goes and takes up that case, and they check the DNA and find out the person was always innocent. But the fact is, you took their life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what it would have been like to be in prison 25 years or something? And all the money in the world cannot make up for that. Like the one man, I think he got a large amount and then he died. So to me, you can't give them back their life.
No,
you might
can't.
hand them some money,
Yeah.
but I think that's so wrong.
Yeah, when you're violated like that, physically, mentally, is a scar that lasts forever. And like you said, no amount of money awarded to you is going to erase that heinous act that you went through.
Well, that's what I like about Obama, is he's going in and getting some of these people that were picked up on that 3-strike law or whatever, and they really,
Right.
and they were never guilty. Or they did something that was nonviolent, and I'm glad he's getting them released. Why
Well,
should they
yeah.
sit in prison the rest of their life, or they stole something out of a store, or
misdemeanor.
they did a robbery? They, you know,
Yeah.
it's not right.
No. Yet there's too many other heinous acts that are going on that people need to be convicted of, and that are not. We need to be spending our time on that and these little misdemeanors. Not that, it's okay to commit, small crimes, but the amount of time people are getting for those things, and we wonder why the jails are crowded, because you got a bunch of, lightweight, petty crime in there that's taking up space.
Yeah, that
We gotta figure
3-strike
out
law
another
was
way.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, who did that? That was Clinton, actually.
I don't
Wasn't
know,
that under his
but it was
administration?
wrong. I mean,
Yeah, it was Clinton.
putting people in prison because maybe they shoplift 3 times, so you're in
Yeah.
prison for life.
Yeah.
That was, I think that was the stupidest law anybody could have ever made.
Yeah, that came under the Clinton administration, as I remember. And, he's been ridiculed over that. And I think he's even said that, looking back, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But, of course, you best say that now because your wife is running to be the president of the United States. So it makes sense to kind of soften that blow, if you will.
You know what I don't understand, though, Lee? Is how do you put somebody in prison for life and they killed 20 people or 30 kids? Why aren't they put to death within that same year instead of wasting taxpayer money taking? They're not going to change. And whether they do or not, they're sitting in a prison. These guys have computers now. They get to do... Why is this person not where we change our law where they are put to death? Why do they wait 20 and 30 years? Come on.
Well, because...
They took a life.
Yeah, you're right. And there are a lot of people that don't believe that you should take any life, even though they're criminals. And that's why we have many states that don't have that type of law that would, execute people.
Remember years ago, way before our time, they hung people.
Sure did.
They
For
didn't
little or
wait.
no reason.
You might not even go to court.
Yeah,
And they're dragging them out.
it's true.
When you read history on laws.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it when. And I've noticed this a lot, and I'm not a person that goes up against color, but I've noticed a lot, if a Caucasian person does something, he's mental. He's got issues. But if a person of color does something like a Hispanic, a black person, they're gangbangers or they're downright murderers. Why are these other people considered, they have mental issues? Well, I think anybody that would go out and kill 30 kids or 20 people,
It's
you
mental.
do have mental issues.
Yeah. Well, it's double standards. 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was worse, and they had a different code of describing those kinds of things. I remember, as a broadcaster for 51 years now, I remember when news reporters used to say, "A black man was arrested today."
They still do that.
Well, very little. You don't hear it like it used to be. In every report, it was identity of the race.
What was the nationality? I'm curious, of the guy at UCLA. We know he wasn't
I
black.
don't know.
He couldn't have been black.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a Muslim. Definitely not Hispanic.
I haven't seen any pictures yet.
I haven't either. See if you can find one. I'm
Yeah.
curious because he did have a weird name.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious what they don't tell you.
Yep. It's kind of
But
taboo now.
you still see that a lot where they'll say 2 young black guys did such and such.
Yep.
Or 2 Hispanics or 2 Asians. But
Yeah, I remember that very well. Being in the South and 50 years ago in radio, you go into the newsroom and even over the API and the UPI and API, AP and UPI were the news services, the wire services that we used to get news on. And it was printed out. And it was the race of a person. And once upon a time, they used to give the address, the house address of where the crime took place. Now they don't generally do that. They might say the street name or in a neighborhood of, but they don't give the exact address to the public anymore.
well, look at the young girl this boy killed.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't give his name. And
Right.
I know he's underage, but I'm sorry if he killed somebody, give his name.
Well, that's a law that you're not supposed to expose juveniles. Yeah, whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. You said gunman wife found dead.
Did you see that in Egypt, where they're saying that particular plane had emergency landing 24 hours before that happened?
Really?
Because there were problems with that plane. Twice 2 or 3 times they had to bring that plane in.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
it's
it really is
possibility
that we
of-
hop on planes and
Yeah, they're not safe.
yeah, because I know somebody that was a pilot and he got in trouble because he turned back when he thought something was
I
wrong.
don't blame him. I think you have a responsibility to do that.
But see, sometimes they don't want you to do that if
Oh,
they
well,
think
you
it
know-
might just be something minor, and that's wrong.
Yep.
I don't like
I would.
planes.
You know what I would say to the air traffic control or to the company controller? I would say, you know what? I'm making a decision here to protect the lives of our passengers and mine. And if you've got a problem with that, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna bring this plane back to you. You fly this bucket. Now, end of conversation. I'd turn my radio off at
Ooh,
that
I
point.
hate to fly. I can't fly.
I would be very, very sensitive to any mechanical malfunctions. Now, they have redundant systems on most of these modern day planes. And, if something goes out, it might be a false positive. You might get a light or something that says, this particular mechanism is not working properly. And then there's supposed to be a backup system in case that does happen. But if the backup system is kind of weary, then you don't take that chance. Why? Why would you want to do that?
Well, did you see where they are trying to design these planes where when something happens, it's like if you were on a submarine and they have a little boat that pulls out with people in it, where the plane is like in a shell
Right?
and it can pull out.
Okay, I got a report here that says UCLA shooting.
Is that him?
Gunman's wife found dead in Minnesota. So you remember yesterday we were
It
reporting.
was his wife he killed
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
geez.
gonna play this report here.
Well,
so
what does he look like?
I don't know if that's him or the reporter. Let's see here what this is.
It is. He looks ethnic. Maybe it's...
Let's see. I've got to bring this up on the console here. Let me give me a moment here.
Wow, I didn't know it was his own wife. I wonder why he killed her. Like,
I don't know if that's him or the reporter. Let's see.
Wait a
here
minute,
what
I gotta
this is.
kill
It is, he looks-
the feed here. Okay, here we go.
He had 2 semi-automatic pistols, one that he used for the homicide and the other that was in his backpack.
Investigators discovering rounds of ammunition and a kill list, spelling out the names of 3 people at UCLA shooter Minox Sarkar's Minnesota home.
They did locate an adult female who was found deceased from a apparent gunshot wound.
CNN affiliate WCCO reports this woman was Ashley Hasty, one of the names on Sarkar's list. Documents obtained by CNN show Hasty was married to Sarkar in 2011. Investigators finding her body in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Police say after killing Hasty, Sarkar then drove nearly 2,000 miles to Los Angeles, descending on UCLA's campus Wednesday morning, intending to follow through with the rest of his list.
He went there to kill two faculty from UCLA. He was only able to locate one.
Sarkar opened fire, killing his former professor, William Klug, a father of two, then turned the gun on himself. The third name on Sarkar's kill list was another UCLA professor who was off campus that day, escaping what police say was a revenge-fueled plot over intellectual property.
He perceived that he had been done wrong, and he just stewed on this for several years.
UCLA denies any dispute between the school and Sarkar.
So Sarkar lost it. I mean, he just
This
went.
is a story about doers.
Oh, shut up. I'm so sick of that doers commercial. Are you guys sick of that too? In between every video on CNN, you get this damn doers.
You must be
The
paying
Chevron
some good
commercial.
money.
Oh, they bought it. They own CNN by now. But anyway, that's an interesting report. So there was a third person that he wanted to kill. Now, my question is, what is the connection between the wife and the other two people that he killed one and the other person he wanted to kill over intellectual property? We got to find out how that's tied together. Interesting. Now, did this report say former wife or this was his current wife?
Thought I said former.
Former. So,
Boy, that
how was
one
she
man was
involved?
very lucky.
Yeah, not being on campus that day saved his life. For whatever reason, he wasn't there. Wow. See, you just never know. And apparently this intellectual property thing has been going on for a few years, according to that report. So I guess he reached his breaking point. And now Sarkar does look like he might be a minority of some kind. I don't know.
Kind of looks Filipino.
Sarkar, I don't know. That sounds like a Middle Eastern name. And I don't like to stereotype or try to figure those kind of things out. But it's sad. Something could have been done to prevent this from happening. But what was going on in this man's mind to make him go to that extreme? You know? Those are the things that I wonder about. There's something went really, really wrong that got him that upset. And they still have not said what this intellectual property was.
Isn't it weird, though, when he left the note, he said, someone check on my cat in the note.
Oh, is that right? I didn't see that. Wow. Well, he's an animal lover, apparently. We're in some crazy times, Carol. You know, back in the day, you didn't hear about the amount of crazy, heinous things that people are pulling off nowadays.
Well, the one newspaper, the Bruin paper, originally reported that the shooter was a white male who was 6 feet tall, which he definitely was not.
Right. Interesting. So was there any surprise to you, Carol, that the autopsy report on Prince came back stating that he died from a accidental overdose of opium-based drugs?
I don't think he was a drug addict. I think he got hooked on the pills because of the pain he was in, and he ended up taking more and more because it got to where your body adjusts to those pain pills. So all of a sudden, two don't work.
Right.
I don't even know if I'd say so much craving, pain, because if he needed 2 hip replacements, I heard that's very painful. And I don't think he did the hip replacements from what I was reading because of being a Jehovah's Witness.
Whoa, sorry about that.
But you do get hooked on them. And
Absolutely.
a lot of doctors are having their license taken from them now because this is happening too much.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hesitate to give you a pain pill.
Well, that's what they're trying to find out now. Who prescribed these drugs?
Remember, the doctor said that.
Mm-hmm.
She said they can go into an emergency, and she said they give them a pain pill for a headache.
That's true. And on the other hand, And I've had experience with a family member when we go to the emergency room because there were some complications. And when you provide your list of medications, the emergency room that we went to automatically determined that they were not going to treat because of the type of medications that the patient was on, and automatically assumed that they were a drug addict. And that's wrong too, because when you're being responsible, you're taking your medicine as prescribed and not more than, in fact, in some cases, less than, that you are automatically pigeonholed into being a pill popper, drug addict, whatever, or abusing your medication, which in this particular case was not so. But I've seen how doctors can, and I think they're doing it to protect themselves because they're under a lot of scrutiny about overprescribing or, doing things that are not cool. So they've gone to the other side of being extreme and not taking care of the patients, giving them what they need. And in this particular situation, we weren't asking for some additional drugs. It was just like, okay, this person is not doing well. Would you please check it out? See what the problem is. But, they stereotype and pigeonhole you and easily make you suffer more. I've got another clip here about Prince died of self-administered opium-based drugs. And we're going to run this. This is another report from CNN.
It is the official report. It is not the toxicology report. In Minnesota, they can only release two things about a person when it comes to their death: the cause of death and the manner of death. And I will read those to you. I'm looking at the report right now. It has literally come out in the last couple of minutes. The cause of death here says that he self-administered fentanyl. And if you don't know what fentanyl is, it is basically the new heroin, but much, much stronger. It is the strongest opioid painkiller you can get. It is often used by cancer patients. It usually comes in patches. Although sometimes you can get it in pill form, it is causing and wreaking havoc across the United States with people getting it illegally and overdosing on it. We've done a lot of stories about how many people are starting to die from fentanyl. It is extremely, extremely strong, which is why they usually give it in a patch or in a lollipop to cancer patients who are dealing with extreme pain. Gives you some idea of what he may have been going through with his symptoms of pain. We also are seeing his height and weight. He seemed to be very thin. He was 112 pounds, according to this report, 63 inches tall. It says that the reason for his death was an accident. But again, the big news right now is that it says that he died from self-administered fentanyl. Now the investigation. Where is this going? They are going to try to find out, did he have a prescription for fentanyl? Where did he get it if he didn't have a prescription? Who was giving it to him? Which doctors may have been involved, if there were any doctors involved? Were people around him involved in getting that fentanyl? All these questions the investigators will get into and try to look into. But the big news of the day is that they have now determined what killed Prince Rogers Nelson at just 57 years old. He would have been 58 years old just next week. His birthday is June 7th. The big news here, the decedent self-administered fentanyl, which is the strongest opioid that you can get in a prescription form.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous drug. Very, very
powerful. This is a story about doers. It's also about
doers again. Very powerful drug, and it's dangerous. See, here's the thing. You can take a medication with the understanding that it's supposed to do a certain thing. Most medicines are not cures. They're Band-Aids to whatever it is you're going through. But the side effects from that medication, and what's even more dangerous, I would say, is what else you're taking with that fentanyl. If you're taking another drug in combination with it, it can cause you to have some crazy reactions like drug-induced lupus. Two drugs together can cause some really crazy, unusual, unexpected results. So when you're going to take new medicines, be sure to have a serious, lengthy conversation with your doctor about the potential side effects. And ask them point blank, have you prescribed these combinations of drugs for other patients? And that doesn't necessarily mean it's okay, because your body may react differently than someone else under the same combination of drugs. So you have to ask a lot of questions and ask for, well, if we don't take this, what else, what alternatives can you recommend? And what are the side effects of that? And don't be afraid to ask questions of your doctor. You know, they have a responsibility to be transparent and open with you. And don't assume that your doctor is an absolute expert on every medication. They have apps for doctors on their cell phones that they can look up medications and then see the different side effects and what have you. But, again, that doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, because your body chemistry is a little different. So when you start taking new medicines, monitor yourself very closely, especially over the first week or so. Because it sometimes takes a little while before that stuff gets into your system, and you don't know how it's going to react. Same thing with vitamins. And in some of these so-called natural cures, you got to be careful with those things too. Have you had any experiences with that, Carol?
No.
So you've been lucky.
No, I don't like pills.
No, I don't either. I try not to take them. Right now, I'm not on any prescribed medicines. Haven't been for many years. Last prescribed medicine I was on was for cholesterol. And I didn't like the side effects that it was doing, so I got off of it. I told my doctor I was going to exercise and eat differently. And I think that was in 2003 or 2004. And I haven't been on it since. So there are other ways of controlling problems that you have. And you have to be wise to that and ask questions. I think that's the first thing. You got to ask questions. And unfortunately, our medical system is kind of automated.
I don't think doctors do give you pills that easy now.
Well, it's gotten a little tougher because a lot of them are being sued, and the FDA has cracked down on how easy they can prescribe medicines and all of that. So they're being monitored more now. I think that's helped. But obviously, you can get access to it when you're not supposed to. So if Prince died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, then the quantity that he had access to is part of the problem.
Well, remember they had pictures of him going to a pharmacy, but like I said, eventually one doesn't work, two don't, and before you know it, they do.
Yep, it escalates. Your body rejects the level and craves for more to satisfy that pain.
And a lot of people, like I said, when they take pain pills and that, they don't look at it as being a drug. They think it's okay.
Yep, exactly. And that's a form of being in denial or uninformed. So we're in some crazy situations here with those type of things. Mental health, I'm a big advocate for helping people who have mental issues. We all have, or most families have at least one dysfunctional uncle or aunt or cousin or brother or sister, mom or dad that might be, close to the edge. Don't take it lightly. Help them get help. The best that you can, because many times you try to help someone and they don't want the help. They reject the help. They're in denial. They said, no, I don't have a problem. And that's a problem. Sometimes it's just difficult or impossible to get them to get treatment because nobody wants to be diagnosed as mentally ill. But mental illness is a major problem all over the world. It has to be because people are doing some crazy things. Now, whether or not this guy that shot the professor and his wife was mentally ill, at some level he has to be, because you got to be a little wacko to want to kill somebody. I mean, I understand the passionate, killings, out of love. You love somebody too much. I don't want none of that. That's worse than drugs as far as I'm concerned. But it happens. It does. And it's ignored. So when you're sitting around the barbecue table this summer and Uncle Bubba comes around, I'm not talking about you, Art, because I do know Uncle Bubba, but his real name is Art. I'm not talking about you. You're not a nutball whack job. Well, you might be, come to think of it. Just kidding. But when you got one of those dysfunctional people in your family or neighbor or friend, pay attention to that. Suggest, hey, man, let's go get this looked into. You're acting a little different. And you got to approach that in a special way, because how you approach that situation is important. You might not get the kind of results that you hope for, depending on how you approach it. And you might want to get some advice from a professional as to how to deal with that approach, or whether or not you're the right person to suggest that this person needs help. So talk to a counselor, a doctor that specializes in mental illnesses, and say, hey, look, what do you suggest? What do you think? Here's the situation, and be as broad as you possibly can describing the situation so that you can get the right response as to how to approach the person that you think has a mental illness. And there are early signs of breakdowns, and you got to be aware of that.
I think half the world's mental.
You might be right, Carol. And maybe, we get the marijuana thing passed here in California. It might slow some people down.
No, I think a lot of it's what they put in the food.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that. No question. Absolutely, positively. Jesse T showed me a video yesterday, and I don't know how to find it, but it was a reporter, and I want to say it was either from Mexico or Brazil, interviewing a spokesperson from Monsanto, which is a company that develops all kind of chemicals and fertilizers and stuff. And a German company, Bayer, as in Bayer aspirin, is buying or has offered to buy Monsanto. Now, many of the products that Monsanto makes can't be sold in Europe because of the European restrictions, like red color dyes and the artificial dye colors and all that.
I thought we were the worst.
No.
We are when it comes to a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. But the crazy thing about this interview, there was a reporter interviewing the spokesperson about a particular chemical. Well, the company Monsanto has said that this chemical has no harmful effects to humans. And the reporter says, let me rewind here. The spokesperson said a human could drink a quart of this fluid and it wouldn't harm them. So the reporter says, well, we have some here. Would you drink a glass of it? It was smooth. The way he pulled it in, went right in. The guy says, well, no, I wouldn't do that. What do you think? I'm stupid? I'm no fool. He says, well, you said it's not harmful, so what's the harm in you drinking a glass of it, He goes, no, I'm not stupid. And I didn't come here for that. We're supposed to talk about the chemical, and then he jumped up and pulled his microphone off and left. So there you see right there how people can be paid to paint a picture about a chemical. I think they were using it on crops, and they were saying that it's safe, it's not going to hurt anybody, blah, blah, blah. But he wouldn't drink it. So
when you say crops, you mean like vegetables?
Vegetables, yeah.
So what happens when people eat the crop?
Well, that's my point. They're saying it'll kill whatever it is that they're trying to kill. I don't know whether it's insects or help it to grow. I'm not sure because the report didn't get into that level of it. But this guy wouldn't drink it. He wouldn't drink that fluid. So there you go. If it's safe, then why wouldn't he drink it? Because it's not safe. Because it will kill you eventually. And maybe it has to be at a certain level to have an effect on humans. Whether or not it's a glass full, a quart full, or a gallon, or over a period of time in small dosages might have harmful effects. But this guy, this spokesperson from Monsanto, would not drink the fluid.
Where's Monsanto or whatever?
Well, they make pesticides and all kind of chemicals, and they also into these. They enhance the growth of foods and chickens and stuff like that. They got all these chemicals that they put in you, and make things grow artificially.
See, I can't eat a chicken if the leg's too big.
Yeah.
No, they gotta be tiny.
Yeah.
Because I know chickens don't
breast,
have that big a leg unless they're putting something in it.
That's the point. And they are putting chemicals in the food that the chickens and the...
Yeah, because haven't you went to some stores and the chicken leg will be almost
like
the size of a small turkey. And
yeah.
you're like, oh, no.
Exactly.
I won't buy it.
What kind of chicken was that?
They got to be little.
Yeah. It's a normal, regularly grain-fed chicken. You know what I want to do? I want to move to the countryside and raise my own food, whatever I'm going to eat, primarily vegetables and fruit. Maybe I might have 3 million chickens because I do like my yard bird. I like chicken, turkey, and seafood.
Did you ever eat a honey kettle chicken?
Honey bake?
No, honey kettle. It's on.
No.
I think they probably have something to do with Goldenberg. Before.
Really?
Remember Goldenberg chicken?
Yeah, I do. Are they
Did
still
you
around?
like that? Yeah, there's one on Crenshaw.
No kidding.
No, there is.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I like some fried chicken once in a while if it's made right.
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to eat too much of the fried stuff, but every now and then...
No, I don't fry anything hardly ever.
A little fried chicken is okay. Yeah, I think anything in moderation is probably not bad.
Now, Costco's has a really good chicken.
Mm.
So I'll buy theirs. You can cook anything with it. You can make your enchiladas.
Yeah.
You can make chicken mole, chicken soup.
You're making me hungry.
Chicken fried rice. I tell people because they go, you cook a lot. I go, I just buy the one from Costco's. It's $4.99. You can't beat it. It's cooked. It's seasoned.
Oh, you get the already cooked one.
Yeah, everybody buys that
$4.99?
chicken at Costco's. Yeah.
Yeah, usually I see those are in the $6, $7, $8 range.
That's at
stores.
Ralph's and
Yeah,
Vons, but you go to Costco's because it's like I want to make some wonton soup.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I'm going to go buy a chicken and make some wonton soup.
Now, you can make all these dishes, but you don't know how to cook salmon?
Nope.
It's easy. Even I know.
Don't know how to cook it.
You know.
I told you I put it in the dishwasher.
No, somebody was pulling your leg on that one.
I really thought she had said that to me. My sister makes great salmon.
Yeah, well, she didn't make it in the dishwasher.
A lot of people
If she
I don't
did,
like their
want it.
salmon. It's too dry.
That's because you overcook it. Yeah. You got to keep it moist, and you don't cook it very long because it cooks fast. And you got to, test it, and if it's still kind of moist on the inside, it's done. You don't want to overcook it.
Yeah, I like
dry
to
up on
cook.
you.
I don't cook a lot lately because then I have to eat it for the whole week.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in throwing food out.
I try not as well.
So that gets a little tiresome, when I make something, then all week I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I know some people will eat a meal and then you got leftovers and they won't touch it after that.
Oh, no, I've been brought up, you don't waste food.
Exactly.
Like, I'll make enchiladas, but I'll freeze part of them. Like, I took some out yesterday, and I ate some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I make them all different ways. I do them the way with the red sauce, the green, but I have one way I do it where I make my own sauce.
I like, what is the it's kind of a brown sauce. Is that the mole? Mole?
Well, mole could be reddish brown because you put cocoa in it.
I like that one.
Yeah, mole is really
favorite.
good.
That's my favorite.
I do a lot of stuff with mole. And that's another thing. You can buy those chickens, you shred them, and put some mole sauce in it.
Mm.
And you see with mole, you can buy it at any, well, I wouldn't say all stores, but stores I go to, you can find the base for it, and you just add to it.
Do you like corn tortillas or the flour? What's your favorite?
Well, I like both. If the tortillas are cooked homemade, but I don't like the ones you buy that are sitting in the grocery store.
Right.
Unless you go to this grocery store I go to, because they make their own corn tortillas. You get them right off the thing, already
grill,
hot.
huh?
Yes.
Wow, nice.
And it's not that they have some kind of pressing thing, but best corn tortillas. They do the white and the yellow.
I'm trying to remember. There was a grocery store in my travels. I'm trying to remember where it was, whether it was in Chicago or Florida. They had a grocery store that was making tortillas right there on the spot. And you could order 20 or 50 or whatever you wanted. And they would, you could see it being made fresh right there.
Well, in Eagle Rock, you can go to the tortilla factory. And they make flour. They make them all. It's like Latin grocery stores. People go, why do you like? I said, because a lot of things they have, you're going to go somewhere else, they're going to charge you a lot. Like,
a lot more.
I buy arnica, which is great if you got body aches, or you can get the fresh herb one and you can boil it and make packs from it. But when you buy it from them, it's not $20-something if you went to Whole Foods or one of those. You get it for $5.
Wow.
And people forget, Latins a lot of them are Native American, Indian too.
Right.
And a lot of things they do are made from herbs. People be surprised if you go into different Latin grocery stores, the herbs you can buy and all the natural products. And people don't realize that they have all this.
Yeah. You just got to look around and talk to people. Did you hear about the guy in Florida, a Florida fisherman, rescued after treading water for 20 hours? Can you imagine
he had
that?
some strength.
I'm telling you.
Was it in the ocean?
Yeah.
And a shark didn't get part of him?
No, he came out alive in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's like the woman last week, was at Huntington Beach, the shark attacked.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
They said what saved her was she was training for a triathlon, and she's a fitness person. She was 52 years old. She lost, I think, over 50% of her blood.
Wow.
But she... they said what saved her was the fact of her strength and the fact that, she's training for a triathlon.
Right.
Because when they do that, they do everything. They run on land, they swim. So that was amazing because they closed the whole beach down. But I would advise people to really go to the ocean a lot this year.
Well,
They're having too many problems.
This guy in Florida in the Gulf of Mexico was out fishing in his own boat by himself. And he fell overboard. He's 61 years old. And apparently a former Navy person with Navy training. And that might be why he's still alive today.
Was he a Navy SEAL before?
It didn't say he was a SEAL. But
might have been because they really train.
Yeah.
He's very fortunate.
Totally.
I mean, there was a dog recently, the same thing. He must have fell off of there was two of them. He must have fell off a boat, and these people look out.
Wow.
And they see something swimming.
Paddling
at
out
him.
there.
And it was a golden retriever, and it was hard for him to get to them because of the waves, but he was a puppy.
Wow.
And same thing with a German Shepherd. He fell off the fishing boat, and they all thought he was dead, and he managed to make it to shore. And I think the Army or somebody found him.
Wow. Let's listen to this report here. This is
Okay.
a fascinating story.
It is 61 years old.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't get the doers again.
Grabbing you some like flip-flops or something.
Shaking, barefoot,
I have to
and
look at him.
thirsty.
This is the best stuff made on earth.
61-year-old William Durden returns from a fishing trip that nearly killed him.
But it was real close of being a bad deal.
The former Navy pilot was rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard. Here's video of that rescue about 15 nautical miles southeast of Arapika.
I went through different phases. Like first couple hours, I'll find somebody to wave down and get on somebody's boat. And then sundown comes. I go, oh well, I have to plan for nighttime now. I was just praying that no big shark had come out and decide to have me for dinner.
The missing boater was treading water more than 20 hours.
Then the sun came up and I go, what's a new day? I made it through night. It's the hairiest part of the whole thing. I'm gonna get picked up today. I am gonna get picked up today.
Durden fell overboard while fishing alone in the Homosassa River. He was not wearing a life jacket. The Coast Guard found the fisherman after a 2-hour search.
Looked a little bit closer and had two arms, was waving at me. My adrenaline spiked. I yelled Mark, dropped a flare, and turned around and went to go find him again.
And I free-falled into the water, went to Bill, talked to him, asked him if he was okay, if there was anyone with him, was he hurt? He was really responsive, fine.
1, 2, 3. Physically fine for the most part, but glad to finally be rescued.
4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, started getting a little bit chilly. But no, mostly the water temp wasn't too bad, but I started shaking, getting hypothermic, felt fish hitting my legs and stuff.
It's very rare that we find somebody, a single person in the water, especially after 20 hours, no life jacket, and it is very exciting that we found somebody.
Yeah, survived, and thank you, Coast Guard.
Yep, he was a lucky man. He was a Navy pilot at one time. So he had some training, but what he messed up on was did not have the life jacket. And I know I'm a fisherman. I've been out there myself. And you get too comfortable in believing yourself that, hey, nothing's going to happen. But invariably, something could happen. A wave can come by and make your boat rock. And if you're in a small vessel, probably what he was in, it tipped over and he went the opposite direction and went overboard. And if the current is moving, and I know about the Gulf of Mexico because I've been out there in my boat before, and the Gulf can be rough, mighty rough. And if the current is moving and you can't catch up with that boat, that's what happens. But he's a lucky man to be alive out there for 20 plus hours.
Well, he looked like he was in great shape.
Yeah, yeah.
There's where I walk, the fishermen go out in the boats.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one fisherman, I see him every day. He has a very small little boat that just only maybe fits one person. He's got a dog that fishes with him.
Yeah.
But that dog always has on a life jacket.
There you go. Does he have a life jacket on?
Yes.
Both of them. That's good.
Because he goes out there. And I mean, it's so, I've taken pictures of the dog because it's so cute to see the dog in that little boat with him. Because you even see him on, what do you call those boards? It's not a surfboard. It's bigger than a surfboard.
Yeah, it's a boogie board.
It's not a boogie board.
No?
No, but you see people where they stand up on them and they have like a stick thing. They
yeah, I don't
roll.
know what you call those.
But you'll see dogs on those with them,
yeah.
and they don't usually have a life jacket. But you'll see little dogs right up there holding their balance.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that. But yeah, I don't know what the official name is for that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like watching people when they go out with their animals. But that man was very lucky because
totally.
I was wondering until he said he started feeling hypothermia.
Yeah.
That he didn't get it right away because the ocean is cold.
Well, the Gulf of Mexico it's a warm body.
So that means there's lots of sharks in that water then.
Yeah.
Because they like warm water.
Yeah. The Pacific is a cold body of water. The Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico, this time of the year is probably in the 75 to 80 degree temperature.
Well, those sharks were there.
Or higher.
He was very lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was lucky.
I would rather drown than have a shark eat part of me.
I don't know that I want either one, but
Like that lady,
which
I'm
could be
telling you,
worse?
she
I
was
don't know.
52, and the shark got her in many spots.
Yeah. She survived, right?
She survived.
Yeah.
I mean, she's in the hospital because they got to make sure infection don't get in her bones. But
Exactly.
I found that so interesting just now.
Well, typically, you don't hear about shark attacks on humans because we're not their natural type food. It's other fish and what have you. And typically, from what I understand from the shark experts, they attack based on your movement, and if you've got something on that's kind of
It looks like
sparkly.
a seal, like a wetsuit.
Yeah, because apparently their eyesight is not the greatest.
And they love to eat seals.
And I know that barracuda are attracted to jewelry. So if you're like swimming and you got a watch on or some gold around your neck or a bracelet or something like that, it's not smart because they'll attack that sparkling, shiny object. And I remember swimming in Mexico, and the instructor that went with us said, "Hey, take off all your watches, jewelry, and stuff." And I asked him why. He says because barracuda are attracted to shiny objects.
Now, are barracuda sharks?
No, and they're pretty dangerous and good eating. Good eating. We caught some when I was down there in Mexico. Went fishing. We caught I think it was 3 barracuda.
Now,
some
what's
red snapper.
marlin? Is that?
Marlin's a big fish.
Yeah, because I used to have a guy I dated, and when we go, I didn't go out with him to the sea. I don't want to be in that water.
Right.
He would catch marlin, and they would cut it up for him. He would catch swordfish.
Yep.
And they would cut it all up for him and put it on ice to take back to the States.
I never eaten swordfish or marlin.
I used to love swordfish.
Yeah. Maybe I have. I did. It wasn't fresh caught. But
You
I
got
have
to
had
go to the
swordfish.
fish company. They carry a lot of different fish.
Yeah. But I enjoy fishing. I went out with a buddy in Mexico off the coast of, what was it? Not Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, the West Coast. And he caught a 9-foot black marlin. That thing was huge.
Well, they fish in the marina all the time.
Yeah.
Like a guy today, he was walking because the water was shallow, and I seen him looking. I go, "Now, can you see fish?" He said, "That's why I was walking, because usually it's shallow water. That's where I catch them."
Yeah.
But they have problems with the pelicans because they're looking too, and those things just
swoop down.
And
Yep.
they're big.
They are huge.
Because I'll see them when they swoop it down, because you can tell the people get mad and they come in and take their fish.
Yep. That's true.
Because I told you one day when I was walking in Playa del Rey, there's a part they fish in. I used to fish with my stepdad and mom. We always went fishing, and I don't recall ever letting a fish suffer. And he had the fish just wiggling on the ground and dying. I went and walked by. I picked him up and threw him in the water.
Did you really?
Yeah, it kind of got me mad, because if you're going to take something, you're going to then hit him. We used to hit him up against the rock. I couldn't do that now, though.
Yeah.
I would never kill anything. But that's how we did, and we would hit him and kill him right away. Why are you going to sit and let him suffer?
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, I used to have to gut fish.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many I've done. But, when
But
we
did
went,
you let him sit there and suffer?
Well, it depends on the environment. When we would go out fishing and we only had a cooler to put them in, and with a little ice in it, and that's to keep them fresh, because if you're going to be out there all day, you don't want them to sit in hot water. So we wouldn't kill them. We'd put them in the cooler, and then, they would eventually die off in the ice water.
Well, then they suffered. Why couldn't you hit them upside the boat and put them on the ice?
Do you think they felt better that way, or?
No, because it's an instant death.
Okay, I'll keep
it's
that
like
in mind.
when people get killed in a plane crash. I'm sure those 2 minutes are hours to somebody, but it's normally they would say it would be fast.
Now, when I had a bigger fishing boat that had a catch well with ocean water in it, you put them in there, and so they stayed alive until you got back to shore.
I can see that.
And then you do whatever you're going to do.
But I mean, how would you like to be put in a cooler on top of ice?
Probably wouldn't be too fond of that.
See, one day, have you ever seen that TV show? I don't think it's on now. And it was one of the best shows. It was called, I think, Animal or something. It was on last year where the animals turned on us. It was really an interesting show. Even the cats and the dogs. And people don't, when you think sometimes, you never know what could happen.
Well, that's true. We're invading, especially when you're talking about wild animals like elephants and tigers and gorillas and bears.
Oh, I think it's sad. I think they should change the law where you can't do that to them.
Yeah.
Leave them in their environment.
I'm looking at a thing here on CNN. It says elephant charged at celebrities safari group. You know, you're in their habitat. You know, it's like you laying out in your backyard and somebody walks in your yard that shouldn't be there, you feel invaded and you go into your protective mode.
And you know, it's funny. People don't really realize elephants have a very small mind. It's like they'll be scared of a mouse. But
yeah,
and they'll put lower fences. Like when I used to go up to Neverland, they weren't high fences. And I said to the person that took care of them, I go, they can't break out of there. He goes, they can, but they don't. But I noticed when the person that owned the ranch wasn't there anymore, I went out there and one of them picked up a log and slung at me.
Oh, yeah, they're strong. They're very, very strong.
I noticed all the animals started changing like they were angry because that person wasn't there with them.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
And they live great lives there now. If I could be an animal and I had to live, that's where I would have wanted to live.
Did they sell that Neverland?
I don't know. I don't know. I know they're trying to, because when you go up there, like the llamas, he had little houses.
Yeah.
And at night, if you were driving one of the four-wheelers and going up there, it was the cutest thing because it'd be kind of lit up and you'd see them peeking out of the little house. They didn't have to go in the little house because they had a big area, but they would go in there at night.
Yeah.
I think most animals, if you put a box, they climb in it.
Yeah. It's
so
a form
I think
of shelter.
they felt comfortable.
Secure.
Because even, it's like the tigers, I noticed they got really angry. They had gotten mean.
Really?
Yeah, I think sometimes animals really like the owner.
Oh, they do. They get attached to their keepers. Absolutely.
There used to be a bear they found when he was a cub. And as he got bigger, you'd see him riding around with the trainer on the back of the four-wheeler.
Up in Neverland?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I used to go up there by myself. Not by myself. I'd bring kids up. I would actually rent buses and take kids up that couldn't afford to do these things because they were so cute. Like there was a candy, just like a snack stand if you go to a movie.
Right.
And there would be ice cream they could have. And at first you'd kind of ration them, but when you get ready to leave, you let them take whatever. But there'd be cute kids that would say, I go, why are you sad? Because I don't have no money to buy it. I go, you don't need no money.
I'm looking at a post here. It says, and this is from
It's
Bloomberg.
a great piece of property. I mean, there's different, the train stations and that. I mean,
yeah, it was beautiful.
It was kind of like if you stepped into maybe a Peter Pan land or Hansel and Gretel, because everywhere you went, there was junk. Baked cookies.
Yeah.
It was just filled with junk.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, he didn't eat all that junk.
Right.
He
had it
did
for
like,
the kids.
he loved fried chicken wings or and Cheerios.
Cheerios, huh?
He would have cooks make healthy food, but I don't recall too many times I seen him eating all that healthy food. They would make cookies, and it was like being at, I would say, is it Hansel and Gretel where they trapped the kids with so it was more like a Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. Apparently, it still hasn't sold. And
but I think all the rides are gone, aren't they? I know all the animals are.
Yeah, I would think so. That because otherwise the upkeep of keeping those animals alive, well taken care of, it's not cheap.
I wonder if all the birds are still there, the peacocks and that.
Let's see here.
I used to go up there for a week with people.
Saying according to Zillow, Neverland is asking nearly 200 times the median home value, and they're saying it's $548 million. That's what they're asking.
But the funny thing is, it's not a huge home.
No, it's like Well, it's a good size house.
But it's not
11,000 square
huge
feet.
like a lot of places I've been to.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of other places there, guest houses, and up by the one where the snakes are, there's a pretty nice size house, and there's one up on the hill.
Right.
So it's got a lot there, a movie theater,
Yeah.
a studio. It's got a full studio in it.
5,500 square foot movie theater.
Yeah, it's a nice theater, and it's got a setup for people if they're sick.
Yeah, a little like a hospital bedroom. He used to bring.
Well, there's like
kids
3
up
of
to.
those.
Yeah.
There's like 3, and they all have glass so they can see the movie
Exactly.
and everything. It's amazing what he did for
Yep.
kids up there.
Absolutely.
And I know people come up with their nasty little stories, but that was not true about him.
Well, listen, we got to end the show here. It is noon on the Pacific Coast. Have a great weekend. You be safe, Carol. We'll see you back on Monday. Are you working Monday or?
I don't know. I haven't looked at my schedule.
Okay. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back 10 a.m. Pacific time Monday on The Power of Voices. This is the Lee Michaels Show. Peace out.
More than talk or a conversation. ThePowerOfVoices.com.
I'm Nancy Renee.
And I'm Adrienne Shapiro.
We're the founders of Access Advocacy, a